There in the center screen in Mission Control Moscow, you can see the crews erecting the stand around the Soyuz craft. Should hopefully be getting that video feed shortly. The search and recovery forces on site with the vehicle. With the stand erected, they'll begin extracting the crew from the Soyuz vehicle, which touched down successfully at 8:58 p.m. Central. And here we are now getting live views from the landing site. Again, the stand erected around the vehicle. The search and recovery forces ready to shortly begin the extraction of the 3 crew members from the Soyuz craft.
My passport? We'll say congratulations.
Here they are. Are you getting ready?
They're feeling well.
We're feeling fine.
Those have to be immediate. Those have to be.
Are you ready?
Миша, внимание! Закрыть забрало! Открываем люк!
Misha, attention, we're opening the hatch. Yuri Valentinovich. Good afternoon. Be careful, be careful. Fyodor, hello. Welcome back.
Поэтому телефон попросим, он даст ему поговорить. Хорошо? Ну вот сейчас, по которому ты говорил. Тогда сейчас.
Hey, Ryan and Sean. Are you guys getting video from the landing site? Okay. All 10 kilos are here now. Well, everybody's checked in, but I can count the 10 on the ground. So you can see they got the hatch open. Says they're doing great. Hey, Greg, Rob Navy.
Again, at this point, the hatch to the vehicle is open. The search and recovery forces about to begin the extraction of the crew from the capsule.
You have live video? Okay. Yes.
It's just around 8:17 in the morning right now in Kazakhstan.
Так, ну давайте по времени эвакуацию, там теперь прямой. Хорошо, я по здоровью говорю.
Do you have Romanov's kit nearby? Yes, I think Ulyanov can take it.
Мы же давно об этом говорили.
Кому? Весь вопрос, кому говорить?
Так, ладно, давай тогда после эвакуации приступаем. Так.
Okay, let's start taking them out. How are you doing? Vadim, do you need help? Hold on a second. Do I need to unstrap completely? No? Do you need straps? Misha? Vadim will figure it out. Hold on.
One mosquito.
Георгиевич, там, а где у нас это? Вот здесь. Как обычно, давай. Я
Did you free up the legs? Hold on. Stop. Sit down. Okay. Let's stand up. I got you. All done. Be careful with the legs. Okay, let's sit him down. Okay, I'm holding him. Let him sit down for a little bit.
And right now we see Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Tyurin, the first one, being lifted out of the capsule.
Misha, there is no rush.
Each of the astronauts experiencing gravity for the first time in over 6 months.
Start swinging his legs out.
So a few physical effects per the norm.
Be careful. Sit down. Stay like that. Okay, let's go for a ride. Okay, hold him, hold him. Should we close?
So again, each of the crew members removed one by one and moved just a little bit away from the capsule into a waiting chair until all three are out successfully.
Lift his leg. Lift his legs. Did anyone drop this? Welcome back. No, just... I think we're fine. Just don't touch anything. Do you need sunglasses, Misha? No, I'm fine. I would like to get the first readings. Hold on, hold on. Hold on a second, there is no hurry. Everything is good? What's the pressure? The descent module is in the vertical position. The crew members are being taken out, evacuated out of the descent module. Oleg Nikolaevich, hello.
Еще раз
Пульс 100. 100, хорошо. Сатурация 110.
Heart rate is 100.
Again, the first crew member out, Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Tyurin, being seen to by flight surgeons. They'll take a couple of initial medical readings, both here and usually inside of a medical tent constructed just a short ways away. Tyurin, again, the most veteran space flyer among the group, returning today with 532 days total spent in space now.
No, everything is
Generally, each of the crew members getting a chance to speak with loved ones right upon arrival.
The landing was just wonderful. Everything was perfect. All the equipment and hardware worked.
So again, Tyurin, the first one out of the capsule so far. The Soyuz landing upright. The teams having the craft in place and the extraction stand around it. Tyurin was the commander of the 37 Soyuz vehicle, the Soyuz TMA-11M, during all of its descent and re-entry operations today. Still inside, NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio and Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata waiting their turn. Representatives from each space agency on site at the landing zone.
Would you like some tea with lemon? Water?
Пишем, я в хорошем настроении, положительном. Вот все с меня снимают, нет на
Well, why are you taking it all off? The previous time you took it all away.
And now we see Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata, the second to be extracted from the Soyuz capsule. Wakata was the commander of the International Space Station over the last couple of months. He was the first Japanese commander of the international complex. Wakata now a total cumulative spaceflight time of 348 days in space, spread across 4 flights. He was also a veteran of 2 shuttle missions and then 1 expedition, or a range of expeditions a few years ago, being a flight engineer on expeditions 18 through 20, so all as part of 1 increment. Wakata now being carried over to his seat alongside Tyurin.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And again, 2 of the 3 space flyers now out of the Soyuz craft. Here you can see Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata now out of the capsule in his seat, going through the same initial medical checkouts that Tyurin just went through. And each of these crew members typically undergoes immediately upon recovery from the Soyuz. With these 2 out, next up will be NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio, who is the board engineer inside the left seat of the Soyuz craft for all of the night's events.
Как студентов учат. Потом чик-чик-чик-чик-чик. Просто так не бывает. А может и бывает, так и должно быть. Вот. То есть просто идеально, как в учебнике. При открытии парашюта сильно вращается? Нет. Так, как и должно, вращается с прецессией, с угловой скоростью. Нормальная динамика, прецессия, поскольку косое обтекание, так и должно быть. Вот. Еще что порадовало, хотя...
So again, 2 of the 3 already out of the capsule, standing by for views of NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio, who will be the 3rd and final crew member to be extracted from this Soyuz vehicle, which landed successfully in Kazakhstan at 8:58 p.m. Central Time. All of tonight's events going off without a hitch. The 3 returning after 188 days spent in space and on board the International Space Station.
Misha, what would you like to eat right now as a snack? Well, some red wine. Well, we'll skip the red wine. I'm not saying you have to provide it right now. You said, well, would like to, that would be something I would like to. Do we have tea? Would you like some tea? Maybe some water? Briefly, what do you think the result of the increment is? Did you manage to achieve all the tasks? I think we could have backed in more.
Here now cutting back to a view on top of the Soyuz vehicle as search and recovery forces working to extract the 3rd and final crew member, Rick Mastracchio, the NASA astronaut amongst the group. Meanwhile, Mikhail Tyurin and Koichi Wakata already out and seated, being attended to by flight surgeons and other search and recovery forces personnel. And there's our first view of NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio again being removed from the Soyuz craft now, the third and final crew member coming down this evening or morning if you're over in Kazakhstan. He'll be handed down by the search and recovery forces here and moved over to join his fellow Expedition 39 crew members. Again, with that, all three crew members now removed from the Soyuz vehicle. Why don't we go ahead and get a quick update now? NASA Public Affairs Officer Rob Navius is standing by at the landing zone. Rob, real quick, why don't you give us your first impressions? How does everything seem to be going out there?
Good to talk to you, Dan. We're about 5 feet away from the Soyuz TMA-11M spacecraft. All three crew members now in their reclining chairs after a very swift recovery. In stark contrast to what we saw 2 months ago, just 2 months ago, where the Expedition 38 crew was greeted in an ice storm, 0 degrees Fahrenheit, snow up to everybody's knees. It is a superb, scintillating morning here, about 90 miles southeast of Dzhezkazgan. Temperatures near 70 degrees, a cloudless sky to greet the Expedition 39 crew. This trio began their 188-day mission back on November 7th, carrying the Olympic torch to the International Space Station. Today, 6 months later, they ended their flight with an Olympic gold performance, sticking the landing upright of their Soyuz spacecraft to wrap up their 6 months in space. The inflatable orange medical tent is nearby, just about 40 yards away. After a few minutes here in their chairs, the crew will be taken sequentially into that medical tent, will doff their SOCA launch and entry suits, and begin what is called a series of pilot field tests, very critical data collection opportunities to see in the initial moments after a landing how a returning crew from a long-duration flight reacts back in a gravity environment. This will involve a series of squats. The crew will bend over. This will apply to Mastracchio and Wakata. In this particular case, the first data set to be offered in the medical tent, in which they will conduct these tests, data collection not only here, but back at the airport in Prestwick, Scotland, after Mastracchio and Wakata stop for a refueling opportunity for the NASA plane that will take them back to Houston. The landing couldn't have been more perfect. It was a bullseye landing. The first of the search and recovery helicopters were on the deck about 4 minutes after the touchdown of the Soyuz vehicle. The medical tent was quickly erected, and as you mentioned a few minutes ago, Mikhail Tyurin, the Soyuz commander, was extracted from the top hatch of the Soyuz vehicle just minutes after that. The atmosphere here is frankly jubilant. This search and recovery team, Rosaviata, the civilian search and recovery forces, they have this down to a fine science right now and have made very swift work in recovering the crew. I might also mention that now that the crew members are out of the Soyuz vehicle, some of the critical cargo will begin to be removed from the Soyuz, critical items that were brought back to Earth to be analyzed by the spacecraft specialists, and some of those items to be returned to NASA for post-flight evaluation. Items that were squirreled away in the Soyuz vehicle could be brought back to Earth for early return, the early cargo return back to Houston. Back to you, Dan.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for that quick update. Like you said, the weather cooperating a lot more this time, so good to see that you guys aren't, knee-deep in snow. Best of luck on your return, and we'll see you back here in Houston very shortly.
All right, Dan, thanks very much.
So with that, now getting a smile from Rick Mastracchio, the third and final crew member to be removed from the Soyuz craft following the three's successful touchdown at 8:58 p.m. Central Time this evening. The time just 7:58 in the morning in Kazakhstan at the time of touchdown. As you just heard, the crew will next move on to some medical checkouts in a medical tent erected not too far away from the landing zone. Part of this, just routine medical checkouts, but also important data gathering for the multitude of experiments that these astronauts are subjected to themselves during their long-duration space flights. each acting as test subjects for a number of human health and performance research activities while they spend up to 6 months in space. Many of these designed to focus on countermanding a lot of the negative effects that weightlessness can have on the human body when we are exposed to it for long durations of time. A lot of those studies also, though, having direct impacts to people here on the Earth, as many debilitating diseases will present the same symptoms that our bodies present when exposed to microgravity. Things like bone loss and muscle dense and muscle atrophy found in many degenerative diseases. So a lot of these data takes will be very important, not only for the ongoing research of protecting humans during long-duration space flight, but also for influencing a lot of medical procedures down here on the ground. But for now, all 3 crew members, again, in a jovial mood outside of their Soyuz spacecraft now, touching down after a flawless re-entry and landing. Rick Mastracchio, the NASA astronaut, on the right there. In the center, Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Tyurin. All the way on the left, Koichi Wakata of the Japanese Space Agency, the first Japanese commander of the International Space Station. All 3 wrapping up 188 days in space with this landing this evening. Again, next up, the crew fairly shortly will begin to move over to the medical tents. Following all of that testing, the helicopters will then transport the crew back to the airfield at Karaganda, at which point the crew will split up and head back to their respective home bases. Mikhail Tyurin headed to the Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Star City, Russia. Rick Mastracchio and Koichi Wakata headed back here to Houston aboard the NASA 992 jet. Coming back here to the Johnson Space Center. Mikhail Tyurin at this point being carried away first towards that medical tent. Next up will be Koichi Wakata, and then following immediately behind him, NASA astronaut Rick Mastracchio.
You got it? Okay, let's move. So they're already carrying them. I think we need to take the bags.
Here you can see each of the crew members being carried into that orange inflatable medical tent, set up just a few feet away from the landing zone.
Did you take enough photographs?